There are some killers who hide in shadows, others who terrify entire cities with their brutality. But the most dangerous kind of predator is the one who looks completely normal, the one who lives next door, the one who smiles at you in the grocery store, the one who waves politely every morning as he drives to work. Because sometimes the monster isn't hiding in the darkness. Sometimes the monster is living a perfectly ordinary life. And for 12 years, Daniel Harper did exactly that. If you walked through the quiet suburban streets of Maplewood Heights, you would find a neighborhood that looked almost too perfect. Clean lawns, children playing outside, neighbors chatting across white picket fences. And in the middle of that peaceful community lived Daniel Harper, 38 years old, an accountant at a small financial firm downtown, married, 2 children. The type of man people trusted instantly. Every morning at exactly 7:40 a.m., Daniel would leave his house, coffee in hand, briefcase neatly packed. His routine never changed. At work, his co-workers described him as reliable and quiet. He rarely spoke about personal matters, but he was polite, disciplined, predictable, and predictability builds trust. It creates the illusion that someone is safe, which was exactly the illusion Daniel had spent years perfecting. Because behind that calm, organized life, there was another side to Daniel Harper, a side no one had ever seen. 3 years earlier, a young woman named Emily Rhodes vanished while walking home from work. At first, investigators believed it was a random crime. There were no witnesses, no signs of struggle. Her phone was found abandoned on the sidewalk. But Emily Rhodes was only the beginning. For months later, another woman disappeared. Then another. Then another. Each case looked different. Different neighborhoods. Different victims. Different circumstances. There was no obvious pattern. No connection between them, which made the cases extremely difficult to solve. But one detective believed something deeper was happening. Detective Laura Bennett had spent nearly 15 years investigating violent crime, and something about these disappearances felt wrong. Not because of what investigators were finding, but because of what they weren't finding. No DNA, no fingerprints, no witnesses, almost no digital trail. The crimes were clean, too clean, and that suggested something disturbing. Whoever was responsible was patient, careful, highly disciplined. While the investigation continued, Daniel Harper lived his normal life. He helped his daughter with school projects. He coached his son's Little League games. He attended church every Sunday. Neighbors described him as quiet but friendly, the kind of man who always offered help when someone needed it. But Daniel didn't experience the world the way most people do. Where others saw people, he saw opportunities. Where others felt empathy, he felt curiosity. Daniel wasn't driven by anger. He wasn't impulsive. His crimes were controlled, planned months in advance. He studied potential victims carefully, their routines, their habits, their vulnerabilities. And once he was certain no one would notice, he acted. Then he returned home, back to his quiet suburban life, like nothing had ever happened. For 12 years, he followed this system perfectly. And for 12 years, no one suspected him. Inside the police department, Detective Bennett stared at a wall filled with missing persons reports, photos, maps, notes, red strings connecting different timelines. There had to be a pattern, something investigators had overlooked. Because statistically, this many disappearances couldn't be random. Someone was responsible. Someone who understood how investigations worked. Someone who knew how to avoid leaving evidence. Which meant the killer was probably intelligent, organized, maybe even someone with a stable professional life. People often imagine serial killers as chaotic individuals, but history has shown something very different. Many of them appear completely normal. Teachers, doctors, engineers, family men, people hiding behind ordinary lives. And that thought sent a chill through Detective Bennett, because it meant the killer could be anyone, even someone living quietly in a neighborhood just like Maplewood Heights. For years, Daniel Harper's system worked flawlessly, until one small mistake changed everything. It happened on a rainy Thursday night. A young woman disappeared just 2 blocks from a small pharmacy. Normally, security cameras in that area automatically erased footage after 48 hours. But this particular camera stored recordings for an entire week. When investigators reviewed the footage, they noticed something unusual. A car driving slowly through the neighborhood. Not passing through. Circling. Waiting. The footage was blurry, but the shape of the vehicle was visible. A dark blue sedan. Older model. Common enough to blend into traffic, but unusual enough to raise suspicion. Detective Bennett replayed the footage again and again. And something about the car bothered her, because it wasn't just driving, it was hunting. Across town, Daniel Harper sat quietly at his kitchen table. His daughter was working on a math assignment. His wife was preparing dinner. The television played softly in the background. A news reporter discussing the latest disappearance. Daniel smiled gently as he explained fractions to his daughter. But inside his mind, something had shifted, because Daniel knew something investigators didn't. A camera had seen his car. They didn't know who the driver was yet. But eventually, someone might start searching for that vehicle. And Daniel Harper owned a dark blue sedan. Later that night, after everyone in the house had gone to sleep, Daniel walked into his garage. The air was quiet. The street outside completely still. He stared at the car sitting under the dim overhead light. For the first time in 12 years, the system he built was no longer perfect. But Daniel didn't feel fear. Instead, he felt excitement, because the game had finally changed. For years, he had been invisible, untouchable. But now, someone was getting closer, and Daniel Harper had always enjoyed challenges. What Detective Bennett didn't know was that Daniel had already started preparing for something new, something far more dangerous than the crimes before. Not just another disappearance, but something designed to pull investigators directly into his world. Something that would force the police to finally notice him. Because after 12 years of silence, Daniel Harper had decided he wanted to be seen, and the clue he was about to leave behind would become the most terrifying discovery of the entire investigation. But by the time Detective Bennett realized what it meant, another victim would already be gone, and the quiet man who lived a completely normal life would begin the most dangerous phase of his crimes. For 12 years, Daniel Harper lived the perfect double life. A quiet suburban father by day, an invisible predator by night. But now, something had changed. A single security camera had captured his car circling the area where a young woman vanished. For the first time in over a decade, the system Daniel built was beginning to crack. But instead of disappearing, Daniel Harper decided to do something far more dangerous. He decided to play with the investigation. Criminal psychologists often notice a disturbing pattern among serial offenders. For years they operate in silence, invisible, careful, disciplined. But eventually, many begin to crave something more than control. They begin to crave recognition, not fame, not exposure, but the thrill of knowing they are manipulating the people hunting them. And Daniel Harper had reached that stage. For 12 years he had been perfect, but perfection eventually becomes boring. And boredom is one of the most dangerous emotions a predator can feel. 3 weeks after the security camera footage was discovered, another young woman disappeared. Her name was Hannah Cole, 23 years old, a university graduate working late shifts at a cafe. The last time anyone saw her, she was walking toward her car in a dim parking lot. Her phone stopped transmitting location data at 10:47 p.m. Police arrived within minutes, but Hannah was already gone. The scene looked disturbingly familiar. No signs of struggle, no witnesses, no evidence. Almost like the victim had simply vanished into thin air. Except this time, something was different. Inside the police department the following morning, Detective Laura Bennett opened a large envelope that had arrived anonymously. There was no return address, no fingerprints. Inside the envelope was a single photograph. It showed Hannah Cole's empty parking space. Taken sometime during the night, she disappeared. But that wasn't what made Bennett's stomach drop. Scrawled across the back of the photo were 4 chilling words. "You were almost right." Beneath the message, a symbol had been drawn in black marker. A simple spiral. Small, deliberate, and completely unfamiliar. For the first time in the investigation, the killer had contacted them. The discovery changed everything. Until that moment, investigators believed the offender wanted to remain invisible. But the message suggested something else entirely. The killer was watching them, following the investigation, studying their progress, which meant something deeply unsettling. This wasn't just a predator hiding from law enforcement. This was someone who wanted interaction, someone who wanted the detectives to know he existed. Inside the conference room, investigators studied the photo carefully. No fingerprints, no DNA, no useful clues, except the spiral symbol. Detective Bennett stared at it for a long time. It looked intentional, almost like a signature. And signatures mean ego. Across town, Daniel Harper sat quietly in his office cubicle, reviewing financial spreadsheets. His co-workers chatted casually around him. Someone laughed near the coffee machine. Everything felt normal, ordinary, routine. But inside Daniel's desk drawer, hidden beneath a stack of paperwork, was a black marker and a small notebook filled with spiral symbols. Daniel wasn't nervous. He wasn't afraid. In fact, he felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Excitement, because for the first time, the police were finally responding to him. Back at the police station, Detective Bennett couldn't stop thinking about the message. "You were almost right." What did it mean? Almost right about what? She returned to the investigation board. Every disappearance, every timeline, every location. And then something strange caught her attention. The spiral, the symbol drawn on the message. She had seen something similar before. Not in the case files, but somewhere else. Somewhere ordinary, somewhere easy to overlook. And suddenly, her mind flashed to a memory. A financial report she reviewed months earlier. A volunteer audit involving several local businesses. And one of the accountants who worked on the report had a habit of doodling spirals in the margins of paperwork. Small, absent-minded drawings. The kind people make without thinking. The accountant's name was Daniel Harper. Detective Bennett pulled up Daniel Harper's profile. Age 38. Accountant. Married. 2 children. No criminal history. No known connections to any of the victims. On paper, he was the least suspicious person imaginable. But when she examined the timelines more closely, something unusual appeared. Every single disappearance occurred on nights when Daniel Harper had been working late. At first, the connection looked coincidental, but the more Bennett studied the pattern, the less it looked like coincidence, and the more it looked like design. That evening, Daniel Harper sat in his living room watching the news. His children were upstairs. His wife was in the kitchen. The reporter on television discussed the newest development in the missing persons investigation. The mysterious message. The spiral symbol. The possibility that investigators were now dealing with a serial offender. Daniel watched quietly, smiling slightly, because he knew something they didn't. Detective Bennett was getting closer, closer than anyone ever had before. And Daniel had been waiting for that moment. The next morning, Detective Bennett decided to visit Daniel Harper's office. Not to accuse him, just to observe, just to ask a few questions. But when she arrived at the accounting firm, she learned something unsettling. Daniel Harper hadn't come to work that day, and no one had heard from him since the night before. Police arrived at Daniel Harper's home that afternoon. The house looked normal. Quiet. His wife answered the door. Confused. Concerned. She told investigators Daniel had left early that morning for work, but never came back. Inside the garage, Daniel's dark blue sedan was gone, but sitting on the workbench, investigators discovered something that made the entire room fall silent. A small cardboard box, sealed carefully, with a spiral symbol drawn on the lid. Detective Bennett slowly opened the box. Inside was a single photograph, a photograph of her, taken just hours earlier, standing outside the police station, watching the street. And beneath the photo, a handwritten message. "Now you're getting close." Bennett felt a chill run through her spine, because the message meant something terrifying. Daniel Harper wasn't running. He wasn't hiding. He was watching. And somewhere, at that very moment, the serial killer who lived a completely normal life was already planning his next move. And this time, the target might not be a stranger. It might be someone inside the investigation itself. The hunt has only just begun. Daniel Harper isn't running. He isn't hiding. He's watching and planning his next move. And this time, the target may already be inside the investigation. If you want to uncover what happens next in this terrifying case, subscribe to Inside Criminal Mind Stories and turn on notifications. Because in Part 3, the investigation will take a much darker turn.